Hi everyone, this is Jilly, littlezencrone. Welcome back to the Moon Magic series. Today is an exciting phase. This is the first quarter moon that we're going to be talking about today. And it's exciting because it is the moon where we first start to see our intentions like really taking shape. We can see the work that we're putting toward our intentions, and we can see how everything is going to manifest. So it's exciting. It's also a part of the moon phases where we might feel a little bit of resistance. So we're going to want to have some perseverance here. Today we'll talk about all of this. We'll talk a little bit about the science. We'll talk about the energy themes of this moon. We'll talk about some tarot allies and some herb allies. And we'll talk about some crystal allies to work with this moon. And I'll give you, of course, 3 things that you can remember to light your way going forward, because we're heading into the waxing gibbous and then the full moon we're in. So this sounds like something you'd be interested in, and I hope you are. Stay tuned. Okay, we're at the first quarter moon. And when you look up in the sky, maybe you see the same thing that I do, which is a half moon. And I've been calling it the half moon forever, and I still slip and call it the half moon sometimes, because that's what it looks like to us. When we look up in the sky, we see the moon and it's half illuminated. We have to think of the moon as a ball, as a sphere. And what is happening at this point is that as the moon revolves around the earth, it's coming toward and away in proximity to the sun. So at this point, the moon and the sun are at 90-degree angles. I feel like I should have paid more attention in geometry class. The 90-degree angle makes it the first quarter moon, but to us, we're only seeing the one side of the moon and it looks like it's half illuminated. This moon is a moon of focused direction. It is a moon of movement, of motivation, of perseverance, and of maybe not only being able to see what's in front of us as far as our intentions manifesting, but also maybe getting stuck with a little bit of resistance. And that resistance could come in the forms of consistency, because this is a month-long process and we're human beings and it's hard for us to do anything for a month straight. It could come in the terms of perseverance. I mean, we get tired working towards something. And especially if we're working and we're not seeing fruits, the fruits of our labor, right? That's really rough. It may come as resistance from outside. It may come from as in the form of resistance from others. And what we're asked to do in this moment is to not give up, but to keep going. It may mean that we have to tweak again. It may mean that we have to maybe not so much set a new intention, but to look at that intention a little bit differently. Sometimes we set big goals for a short amount of time. And, that goal needs to be retooled a little bit. It doesn't mean that we failed. It just means that life happens and we have to rework things, and that's okay. So as I was thinking about this moon and I was thinking about tarot cards, I had two that came up. As far as resistance goes, I really felt Nine of Wands energy. I really felt like we may be in a position where we're defending ourselves to others or to ourselves or to a maybe a, you know, the way society or culture looks at something as opposed to the way we may be looking at it or the way we may want to manifest a goal. And it's, you know, it's about challenges, you know, coming up against challenges. And what are we going to do? Are we going to give up, or are we going to strengthen ourselves and keep going? Another card that I thought of is the Eight of Wands. And I'm thinking of the Eight of Wands because this is about focused direction, right? This isn't about moving at breakneck speed. This is about that focused direction. Okay, we're on our way. I can see it. What do I have to do next? What is the next right thing for me to do to get toward my goal, to move toward my goal? What do I need to do next? And then to do that thing. I also think of the Strength card, and I love this Strength card. I love this card because she is powerful. She is standing in her own authority. She is sovereign. You can tell that. She also very much has a friend here in the boar. She has not taken control of this boar. She doesn't, you know, she hasn't grabbed him by the head. She hasn't wrestled him to the ground. There's not any harm that has come to this animal or to her. She simply is resting her hand by its head. And I think that speaks volumes to how we approach things, because sometimes we want it all and we want it now. And sometimes I think when challenges come up, we feel like we have to be in control. And I don't think it always has to be that way. What do you think? I think that when we can sit back, take that sacred pause, think beyond our emotions, we can take those next steps toward doing the right thing. And when we let go of the control, those next steps often appear to us. They often come to us. Clarity comes when we're not so tense, when we're not so tensed up. The last card that I wanted to show you with this moon is in and of itself the Chariot. Now I love how we have half light, half dark. We have the two sides. We have the shadow and we have the illuminated. And we have this charioteer. And yes, these horses are moving. And yes, she is being pulled forward. She is going forward. But look at her. She has direction. She knows where she's going. She knows what the next step is. And think about the strength that it takes for her to drive those horses and the balance that it takes. She must be grounded. She must believe in who she is. She must make right choices. And to do that, she's got to have her head clear. So those are the tarot cards that I picked for us. What cards would you pick? What do you think about this moon? Okay, let's talk about crystal allies for this moon. The first one that I have is Carnelian. I have this little piece. No, it's not a little piece. It's a big chunk of Carnelian to show you. And Carnelian is great for courage and motivation. It is a stone that sparks action. It can help us to break through that resistance, okay? So if you have a piece of Carnelian, tuck it in your pocket, or you know, sit and hold it, meditate with it, and see if that helps with any breakthroughs. The other crystal that I learned about that it is associated with this moon is Bloodstone. Now, I love Bloodstone. I find Bloodstone to be very grounding, and this happens to be a piece that I hold in my hand when I meditate, and it has, I don't know if you can see it, but there's like an indent here that's like perfect from my thumb. So I hold this and meditate with it. Now, this is a stone that is associated with this moon with endurance and breakthroughs. So sometimes resistance can feel heavy, and we don't want to get stuck there. So meditating or holding a piece of Bloodstone, again, carrying it around in your pocket, keeping one, you know, close to you on your desk or your end table where you can just pick it up and handle it, I think is really helpful. Now, the third stone that I have is crystal quartz. And of course, this is going to be for amplification and for clarity. So yeah, we want our choices to be amplified. We want to know what the right choice is, what's the next right action. And of course, we want to our manifestation to be amplified. We want to achieve that goal, right? So I have this little piece. I've talked about this piece a couple of times on my channel. It's in my 5 crystals, my 5 favorite crystals, and it's a favorite for me. This one is a double terminated. It's got points on both ends, but this came to me in such an odd way. I used to work at a crystal shop, and I traded time for Reiki space for in the Reiki. So I'm a Reiki master teacher, and I used to have clients that would come to the Reiki room there. And so I was working one day, and it was a very tiny shop, and the checkout desk was right by a big open window, and I loved sitting there. I didn't mind at all being at the till because you know, I could see people going by, and there was a tree right outside our window. I just loved it. Anyway, I'm sitting there, and this person walked by, and then he turned around and walked back and walked in the shop. And he reaches into his pocket and he pulls this crystal out, and he says, "I'm meant to give this to you." And I said, "What?" And he said, "I just walked past and I had a message loud and clear that I'm to give this to you." And he gave it to me, and I said, "Oh my goodness, it's beautiful. Thank you very much." And he said, "You're welcome." And he turned around and walked out the door, and I don't know his name. I've never seen him since, but I've had this piece ever since. The other clear quartz crystal I have is this beautiful piece, and this sits on my altar. Now, if you don't have crystals and you don't use tarot cards, that is okay. You can still have a moon practice without those things, because what we're talking about here are not necessarily cards and crystals, but we're talking about themes and what we can do to work through those themes, things that we can do to gain courage, things that we can do to, how do we know when it's what the next right step is? Well, we know when we know, and we know when we take time, when we pause, when we reflect. Okay, let's look at some herbs. And these I'm going to be more reading because I'm just beginning to work with herbs. So our herbal allies for this moon phase are rosemary for clarity and courage, and I think a little bit of protection too. Cinnamon for the heat, for the motivation, and the for the motivation to move, to do the next thing. Bay leaf for decision magic. And also, I'm going to insert this in here. If you do come up with resistance, maybe write that resistance on a bay leaf and burn it. Pine needles for grounding, and evergreen for strength. And I love that. So 3 practices for this step. The first one is to choose one thing. Again, we don't have to do it all. We don't have to do it at once. We don't have to do it within one moon phase. We just have to keep moving forward. So choose one thing and do that. Remove one obstacle, either physical or emotional. And that in and of itself takes some strength and some courage and some perseverance. And maybe the way you do that is also in littler bites and littler pieces, right? And you can say a mantra. So I'm all about the mantras. I'm all about the why. We got it. This is a moon phase to reaffirm our why. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this moon practice? Why are we setting this intention? What is it going to benefit in the end? How is my life going to look at the end when this is manifested? And then what you can choose to say maybe is something like as simple as, I choose to keep going. I choose to keep going forward. I'm not going to get stuck here, and I'm not going to quit. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to do the next right thing. So 3 things that I want you to remember from this moon phase. And the first is that obstacles are part of the process. It's not a sign to stop. It's not a sign of failure. It's not a sign that you did anything wrong. Obstacles are going to happen. The second thing is that action creates clarity. Remember, energy follows intent. So if we intend, if we take those steps toward clarity, toward the next right action, that will appear. It will come. We will see it. And then the third thing, is that, and this is so important, courage is a practice, not a personality trait. I'm going to say that one more time. Courage is a practice, not a personality trait. Remember that. Okay, so I hope that you've enjoyed this video. It is in a playlist called the Moon Magic Series, where I'm working through all of the phases of the moon. The next phase will be the waxing gibbous, which will be coming up toward the end of this week. It will be released toward the end of this week. It may not be at the end of this week. The handouts are over on buy me a coffee. The link is in the description box below, and it's free. If you enjoy this kind of magic, though, you also may enjoy my monthly publication, which is called the Crone's Compass. The Crone's Compass is moon magic expanded. It takes in other forms of magic. We talk about the wheel of the year, the season of the wheel of the year. There's all kinds of things about seasonal magic. We talk about astrology. We talk about astronomy, the moon phase. We talk about, there's crafts, there's recipes. It's over 50 pages filled with earthy goodness and magic. And I like to say it's like your earthy Nana came for a visit, brought her carpet bag, and you're sitting there having a cup of tea and sharing together. It is $3 on Buy Me a Coffee, and if I might say so myself, it's well worth the $3. And if that's something that interests you, you can check that out over there as well. Until the next time, please, please be kind to yourselves.